Tom Doyle. I'm 87. I was born in Stellens, Peasley Cross Hospital. I lived in St Helens over a period of time. Then we moved out to Derbyshire Hill. I must have been about 3 or so then. So I was born late 1929. So I look about 6 or 7 there, don't I? Because we'd moved to Parr then, Derbyshire Hill, to Neville Avenue. I was born in St Helens, but we moved to Derbyshire Hill when I was very young. But it was quite a poor area, very poor area, and the inhabitants mostly would be miners and miners' children. They're quite, well, I would say they're very poor. A lot of the people were. I mean, as it happened, I was the only child, so I got a bit spoiled regarding that. But the neighbourhood I lived in, I couldn't be spoiled because they were a rough neighbourhood, and if you showed them any weakness, you got picked on. So I got beat up a few times because of it, but they were always wary of me after that. I went to Parr Flat School first, till I was only 10 when I moved up to the senior school, Parr Central, and was there till I left school at 14 and a half I was. I had to go on till an extra 6 months because my birthday was in September, so I only left at Christmas. In Blackpool on holiday with my mum and dad and Richard, my cousin. I remember that one. So that would be 1942, 43. It doesn't look as if I'd gone up to senior school then. I went up there when I was almost 11 when I went up to senior school. So this must be 1944, 43, 44. And then I started work at Metropolitan Vickers, an apprentice there. I worked there till I went in the army in 1950. I met my wife 1947. Well, I was in the army, so it must have been 51. Got married August 51. And we went to Ireland. Well, I'd taken her to Ireland before we went, before I went in the army. But, oh no, my aunt had arranged a honeymoon for us in Blackpool. She'd paid for it for 3 days. So we travelled to Blackpool for 3 days. Well, from Saturday till Monday. And then we came back to Preston where my aunt lived, and we stayed there for the rest of the week. Of course, then I went back in the army. But we had to get the CO's permission to get married. Oh dear. My suit had been ordered from a tailor in St Helens. It hadn't turned up at 9 o'clock on the Saturday morning we were getting married. Anyhow, it arrived about 11. But Agnes said, your mum said, or your nan said, if I turned up in my uniform, she wouldn't marry me. But the suit turned up in time.
Which church was that? Which church was that?
St Pat's on the Common. We got married. We didn't have a lot of money, and we got these plastic ones, and we had intended to have an album made, and we went back to the photographers a while after, and he died in the meantime, so you couldn't do anything about it. We had to have these frame photographs like this. We had intended to put them in an album. And we got married in 1951, and we had a daughter in 52. 1950, when I was 21, yeah. I did 2 years. I was an electronic tank repairer. Looked after Centurion tanks. I was on electronics course at Arborfield in Berkshire. That was the Centurion tank, which was one of the best tanks there was at that time. I was in the REME, Royal Electrical Mechanical Engineers. We did a course there at Arborfield, near Reading it was, and Wokingham. And then you got posted to the main unit. And then we moved to Germany then, in late 1950, no, 1951. That would be, we moved to Germany. I went to Germany. I was there just 12 months. I didn't find it difficult in the army, but it was, they asked me to volunteer, but I wouldn't. And it was very interesting, the places I've seen and everything like that. We went to a lot of the places in Germany, and the most shocking thing was when we got to Germany, we went into Ham. Well, Ham was always been talked about on the radio of the marshalling yards at Ham, and there must have been at least a mile and a half of no buildings at all, just the railway tracks and one signal box. And that was, and then we drove through the Ham itself, and it was decimated. The buildings were blown up, everything, and that was the biggest shock of my life then. Actually, that was a good friend of mine, Bill King, and that was in the army. This was in Germany, in the NAFI, and it was this one who was celebrating. It didn't belong to our unit, but he was celebrating. I don't know what it was, so we were helping him. A short windscreen, and we were driving through Germany, and we seen a military police post, and we were lost. So I said to Bill, let's drive in there and ask them where they are. So we drove in there. They felt very sorry for us, made us a cup of tea and told us how to get there to the tank unit we were looking for. Well, yeah, we had some good times in the army. I mean, if you did any sport, you got out of the first parade. So I did all sports, football, cricket, rugby, even hockey I played. Yeah.
Didn't you box as well?
Oh, I boxed as well, yes, I was boxing. Yeah. I know, I had this young man came, he said, have a spar with me. I said, yeah. So he knocked bells out of me. And then he came over and said, I did very well. He was an army champion of his weight. So it shocked me, that did. The Korean War had started then, and there were 3 of us electricians, and one of us had to go to Korea. And I didn't have enough time left. The other one had just got permission to get married. So the third one, he was nominated to go to Korea. And of all the things that happened, I was coming over on the boat from Holland to England on my demob leave, and who did I bump into but this electrician who was going to Korea. And there must have been 1,000 soldiers on the boat, and I met him. Anyhow, I spent the weekend with him. I wrote to him for about 12 months or so. And then we stopped writing. I don't know what happened, but we stopped writing. But he put me in the clear there. He said they wasn't involved in any fighting. The tanks we hold down and would just use as artillery. so they didn't move about very much. But he said it was a horrible place to be, but he said it was hot at times and cold at times. Oh, well, no, I was working at Burton Wood, actually. Burton Wood Air Base. And we had a football team there. I played them. We trained Monday, trained Tuesday and played Wednesday. Afternoon this was, working there. And there was a couple of lads there. They'd got papers to go to New Zealand for the RAF. Well, the New Zealand RAF it was. Anyhow, I sent for the papers, and we had Anne, the daughter then, and I was the only child. So your Anne said, what about them? They'd be brought out. Because travel then wasn't as easy as it is now. You know, you couldn't just say, oh, I'll fly home. So we decided not to go. Well, I did 3 years TA after I came out. So I was demobbed actually in 1955 from the TA. Yeah. So that was the army career done. So, I was working at Metropolitan Vickers. Mm-hmm. That's where I went back to when at the time, if you were called up to the army and you were working somewhere, by law they had to take you back when you came out of the forces. Mm-hmm. So I went back there for a couple of 3 years, and I left there. I went to work at Burton Wood Air Base, as I said before. I worked there for a few years, and then I went to the Vulcan, worked there for quite a while, made redundant. I went to Chatton's in Goulburn. They put the crimping, believe it or not, if you know what that is. And I was made redundant there. I went to the BME, which was the USI then. I worked there for another couple of years. I was made redundant from there, and I went back to the Vulcan. I worked there for another 10, 15 years. And then I got made redundant from there, and I didn't work after that. Well, yeah, very good it was. I played football for them, of course. Helped run a football team. But it was worked on the locals first. The first time I was there, I was an inspector on the locals. And then when I went back, I was on maintenance. That was very interesting, the maintenance, because you got different types of jobs there, different types of faults on machines. You had to sort them out. So that was very interesting. My mum and dad were both born in Ireland, in the same area, Enniscorthy. I never found out if they'd met before they came across to England, but they came across to England 1920s or so, only guessing because we can't find any records, can we? And they got married in Preston, and they moved to St Helens then, and I was born in St Helens Hospital, Peter Cross, but lived in lodgings then, what they call lodgings, where you only had a room and probably a kitchen, and you rented it out, and that was in 3 or 4 places then. Then eventually we got the council house in Derbyshire Hill. I must have been about 3 or so when we moved there, and we lived there then until I left to come up to Earlestown. Mm-hmm. We got married in 1950, your Nan and I, 1951, sorry, and we lived with my mother and father for a while. Mm-hmm. Then we moved up to Earlestown, into Swan Road there. Then from Swan Road we moved to Burt Street. Burt Street we moved to Haydock Street. Sturgis Street we moved to. Yeah. Then we moved down to the bungalow in Watford Avenue, didn't we? Yeah. Take her to Ireland to meet the family over there, because I had only a few cousins over here. So I had intended to get a ring over there, but I seen the camera, so I decided with your mum in your nan's position to get the camera. I've forgotten what it was, but it was a folding camera, very modern at the time, because I persuaded her, because I was going in the army, I needed some record of that. So I got the camera, and as you see, there's quite a few photographs of when I was in the army, haven't I? So I don't know about the middle one, but Ken, and the end one, who's in the army. He's dead. Good friend of mine. Used to booze together.
Is that it?
That was, I'm not sure if that was Newton Town Hall or the Peanut where the thing was taken. They were quite a popular band, local band. Accordioneurs they were called. Well, I don't know what year this was, well after 1950. I'd been in the army and come out of the army and went back to Metropolitan Vickers, and then I left there, went to the air base, and then I came here, Vulcan. So that would be 1958, 59 or so. Well, that was the Sea Cadets. We were all under 18 then, playing then, and is that all right now?
Yeah, that's great.
We had a great team. Actually, that one, Sam Street, played for Everton. That's me there. That's Marsh, his name was. Forgotten most of the names now. But he was Mr. Murray. He was the CEO of the Sea Cadets. He was a bank manager in Earlestown. That's Roland Barnes. And we went in 1950. We went to Ireland to show my family over there, Agnes, and this was a car parked. It was in Cortown Harbour, that was. So as a joke, I said to Agnes, come on, let's stand beside that. And we'd met four friends actually, who were in the same digs as us, and one of them took that photograph, and we pretended it was our car to see. But it wasn't.